Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Rex. Rex is from Los Angeles in California in the USA. So let's see what Rex has to say. Enjoy the interview.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello Rex, I'm very well, how are you?
Yeah, very good.
Tell me, how's your morning going so far?
So far, so good. Woke up, went to the gym, came home, had breakfast, and then I've been working, right, coming up with ideas for books.
Do you consider yourself to be more of a morning or a night person?
Uh, Definitely a morning person. I rise with the sun and then I go, 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 go. Love to be in bed by midnight.
Wow. And tell me, where are you from?
I am from Texas, born and raised, but then I spent 15 years in New York City working in book publishing, and now I live in Los Angeles where I'm a full-time writer.
Wow. And what's the best part of living in Los Angeles in your opinion so far?
You know what? It's got to be the weather. I know everyone says that, but they say it for a good reason. The weather is incredible.
And all your family are back in Texas?
Yes. I mean, my brother and sister-in-law, and my two nephews, and they're the best.
Actually, when I was checking your profile, I could see you with your nephew on your arms.
Yeah.
As you mentioned about, your profession as an author, as a writer. So walk me through a little bit how your journey started.
I always wanted to be a writer at a very young age. I fell in love with stories. I was always reading books, Dr. Seuss, to Chronicles of Narnia, to Hardy Boys, to Stephen King. I was reading way too young for my age. But even as an adult, I was reading kids' books. And I always was reading comic books since sixth grade, X-Men especially. Um, so I always knew I wanted to be a writer. For me, I had a really rough start at life. I grew up in poverty. There was domestic violence. My sister died. My dad kicked me out for being gay, and I was homeless for a bit. So it was
Wow.
a rough first 18 years of life, but escaping into story was a great way for me to, help find myself and help take refuge. And I wanted to do that as an adult for other people. And yeah, so the whole time I was in New York, I was writing, 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 rejected, 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 could not get a book deal to save my life. Um, but now, yeah, for the last 6 years, I've been writing, and I've written 12 novels or published 12 novels, and I have 12 more coming out in the next 4 years. So I'm
Wow.
definitely making it work.
Wow. Of course, I made a note here, some of your work as well, Rex. And but before, during the interview, I'm going to explore a little bit more about it. But as you mentioned about your tough challenge growing up, do you think your novels, your books, your designs, everything, it's reflects or based on this journey, or is just for you? It's a totally different journey that your books are.
Yeah. Well, for the 15 years that I was in New York when I was writing novels, it was maybe there was some metaphor for my life, but for the most part, I was just writing sci-fi and fantasy, and I was really going out there and doing weird things. And now I'm doing more grounded stuff. I started writing memoirs a few years ago, and those have done really well because I think kids, because I write for young readers, really respond well to true stories. But I also do a lot of graphic novels, and I'm kind of working my way back to doing more fantastical, more sci-fi, more dystopian, because I love that stuff.
Amazing. By the way, I'm saying your name right, Rex?
Yes, Rex.
Amazing. Right, so before we start our journey within the Magic Box, I would like you to tell me something interesting about yourself, or maybe something that not many people know about you.
I really like shows like Bridgerton, which it's funny because I bring it up and my friends are like, "That's a weird show," and I'm like, "No, it's great." I think that I present very masculine. I'm from Texas and I'm very butch, I guess. But the truth is that I'm a big sissy inside. Like I love girly things. I love pink. The Barbie pink color is just, I think, the most beautiful color in the world.
I love you talk about Texas, and I like your shirt. Kind of mix well with the
Thank you.
hair. Rex, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views? Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I've got here
Yeah,
my
thank
best.
you.
couple of random fun questions, okay? I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to relax a bit before the first question, right?
Okay.
Yes, let's do it. Right, so before we start the game, during the join, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, you don't know answer, just I always can change the question, okay?
Okay.
Right, first question for you is, if I would ask your best friend right now to define yourself in one positive word and one negative word only, what they would say?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think the first word would be loyal, because I'm just I was never close to my parents growing up, but friends were always there for me. So friends are my found family, and I pride myself on trying to take care of them, celebrating their birthdays, telling them that they're handsome, that I love them. I love to give hugs. Usually they're uncomfortably long, just by a few seconds. I want them to know that uh, I love them and that, embracing them is important. A negative word about me. Let's go with workaholic because I
Mm.
mean I'm nonstop writing every day. I am writing new books. I'm also teaching myself marketing and publicity. I'm a go-getter. I'm looking back and forth because I have like 30 to-do lists on my desk, and I love crossing them off. So I like to work.
And you always been this way, like this way of being working all the time? Did you always have this approach?
Yeah, I think it's because my abuela, my grandmother, grew up in Mexico. She had 13 brothers and sisters. And two of them died from things as simple as a cold because they couldn't afford aspirin or Tylenol. They lived in a one-room shack, basically dirt floors, no running water, and she worked her butt off and made her way to America, put herself through college, um, became a diagnostician, and even when she was older, she had like 5 jobs after she stopped raising her kids. She was a diagnostician. She translated at the courts for immigrants as well as prisoners. She volunteered at the church. She sewed and cleaned houses. Like she was always working to take care of her family. And now I'm always working, not just to take care of myself and my family, but to basically make books for young readers, and to give them stories that they can enjoy.
What an inspiration to have, a figure like that, as you said about your grandmother. You have this. It's amazing. You're talking about that. I just could picture my parents in front of me right now because I grew up as well, seeing my parents working all the time. I don't remember as a child like sit down like four of us to have a meal because my parents were always working. And nowadays, I understand your point. That's I feel as well. I feel like always doing something. I feel like working all the time, and that's why I think it comes from there. Our roots somehow. This we have this figure, working all the time, and I understand your point.
Yeah,
Wow.
100%.
When you think about her, what's the best memory that comes to your mind?
Ooh, um, I would probably say it's her hamper. She had a little laundry bin in her hallway, and I used to climb into it and hide from her. And I just loved the smell, and I loved the way it just felt safe. It felt warm. It smelled like wood and fabric softener. And she would always come and find me, and she would open the little door at the top, and she'd be like, "Where's my grandson?" And I'd be like, "I'm here." Um, so yeah, it's funny because I wrote an entire book about my grandmother called Abuela Don't Forget Me, and
Oh,
I wrote down
sweet.
all of my memories of her, and it's really cool that it's out in the world.
Amazing. What's her name?
Catalina Caldwell.
Wow.
Her original name was Catalina Benavides.
Oh, sweet. Next question. Okay, next question for you is,
Okay.
who would swap lives with for a day if you could, for any reason?
Ooh, for one day, living or dead?
Either way.
Good question. I try to think about my mentors. I want to say a writer, but growing up, I really liked Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of England, because I just thought it was so fascinating. She had this rise to power. She was a woman. She was in charge of one of the biggest or most important countries, most powerful countries in the world at the time, and she commanded armies. She commanded navies. She refused to marry because she didn't want a man holding her down. And I think that's very respectable for people to take charge of their lives and make the world a better place, or at least in their world view. And I just think it's so powerful for people to make a difference in this world by ignoring intolerance and escaping stereotypes.
Wow, amazing. Great. I love the answer. Next question. Right, before the next question, I'm going to ask a question in two parts. The first part of the question is, for you, as you said, that you write every day, you always on the go. For you to get yourself, in your own words, like to put things down, to write down, do you need to be inspired, or naturally for you, you can sit down and things just happen? And the other part of the question is, do you write every single day?
So for the inspiration, I feel like I'm inspired by everything around me. For ideas for books, like the overall concept, I mean, those come to me either in dreams or when I'm reading a comic book, or, something as simple as one word will pop into my head. I was talking to a friend earlier and he said he worked in retail, and I was like, I could write a story about retail. About it would be like teenagers working in a mall and the dramas. It would be a slice of life. It would be fun. No one steal that. So I draw inspiration from everywhere, but at the same time, like just walking my dog and looking up at the sky and seeing the trees, I'm like, that would be a very cool visual for like a graphic novel or for a prose book. So yeah, I draw inspiration every day from the world around me. And for the fantastical stuff, I mean, I always like listening to a New York Times podcast called The Daily. Like I hear things about the future, and then I take my mind, in 50 years into the future, and I'm like, what would that look like? So yeah, I'm inspired by everything. Question: I write every day, Monday through Friday. Every once in a while, I'll do Saturday, but for the most part, I try to take off on the weekends.
And do you manage to not go there and write anything?
I'll write down ideas. If I have ideas, I'll be like, oh, I need to put that down on paper. But for the most part, I'm pretty good about just taking the weekends off and being social.
Very good. Next question is, if you could make up a brand new school subject, what that would be?
Ooh, a new school subject. I mean, I feel like world tolerance. I mean, maybe global tolerance is a better word. You know what? That I don't know what the word would be. Something about tolerance, but essentially, I think it's so important for people to read about other people, to watch movies about other people, to get out of their own lives. There's so much tragedy and war going on around the world, and I think people are quick to judge one way or the other. But I think it's so important to know the perspective of every side. Because just because someone's a Republican doesn't make them a bad person. Just because someone is, gay, it doesn't make them a bad person. I think every person on the planet is a 360 view, but people only get one side of them. It's like looking at the moon. The moon is round, but we only see one side of it. There's a whole other side to it that we just don't understand or know. And so I think it's good for people to understand that people are never just defined by one thing.
Did you like school growing up?
Yes, it was an escape from my home life, which was not good. So I loved going to school. I love learning new things. I liked my friends. I got picked on a lot by bullies, but I think that just made me stronger. So yeah, I love school.
Who was your favorite teacher growing up?
Ooh, Miss Humphrey. Miss Humphrey was my English teacher in 10th grade, and she taught two classes, both English, as honors English. And then the second one was a class called World Literature, which is it was like my first foray into reading books outside my realm of experience. We read books by African authors, books by Mexican authors. We didn't read anything from America that was well known. They were all books I'd never heard of. And I learned so much about different cultures, about different people, about different religions and philosophies. And Miss Humphrey just made a world of difference. And she always encouraged us to read banned books. So she was great.
Wow. As you mentioned about, your grandmother from Mexico, you said, yeah? Did you kind of got to learn some Spanish or not?
No, because my mom hated her mom. So I very rarely got to see my abuela. And my mom also forbid me from speaking Spanish in the house. So when I
Oh,
started taking Spanish in high school, I got a very sound beating for it. But I tried to learn, and it turns out that I don't know why, but I'm not good at learning another language. I think it's because I'm a writer and I think about everything, every word, every phrase, every sentence, and I consider myself like a master of the English language, which just means I can't speak other languages.
next question. Let's do it. All right, Rex. Next question is, what's your favorite TV show?
Ooh, that's a hard one. There's so many good shows. Ah, I guess my favorite show of all time, if I had to pick one, ooh, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, maybe. I just think it's such a fantastical world. It's got, empowering characters. It's got fantasy, which I love. But yeah, there's so many good shows out there. I try to watch an hour of sci-fi or fantasy every night before bed.
When you write your books, do you create some characters as well, like new ones?
Um, like world building, like just coming up with new ideas.
Yeah, yeah, like new characters in books that you kind of you repeat them in other books as well.
I like to take characters that I know and then kind of change them or, go in depth with them more. I don't want to ever copy characters, which is getting hard because, I mean, there's a wealth of movies and TV and books and literature and so on and so on. And it's hard to create something new, but I view that as a challenge. And so I always try to make the characters my own and give them some spark or idiosyncrasy that sets them apart.
I see. Ready for another one?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Next question.
Okay.
Before the next question, as you shared in the beginning of the interview, your tough time growing up because, the situation you had at home, plus you're gay as well. Did you ever come out as a gay boy, or, you kind of find yourself in a situation that you need to come out? Walk me through a little bit about your experience.
So I guess from an early age, I knew I liked boys and girls. I definitely had crushes on Robin Hood from the BBC show, and then I also had a crush on Punky Brewster. I also had a crush on a lot of cartoon characters. But as I grew up, like I started to realize I had feelings for boys, I had feelings for girls. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I was bisexual. I didn't know if I was just like following societal expectations. But as I got older, I definitely was leaning more towards males. As for coming out, like I kind of dabbled in telling friends around 10th grade. My senior year, someone outed me as bisexual. And that actually worked to my advantage because I had just moved to a new school, so everyone thought I was super cool, which was weird because I'd never been popular before. And then when I told my stepsister I was gay. She told my dad, thinking that she could make things okay in the family and that I would be accepted. And instead, he kicked me out for being gay. And then I was homeless for a while. But it gave me, getting off the streets and restarting my life was, like a phoenix, like I was being born again and I got a fresh start. And, I made the most of it.
Have you forgiven him?
Oh, 100%. I like years, maybe like 5 years after, because it was just, my abuela was always telling me, she's like, you can live your life hating someone, or you can just let it go, let go of the rage, let go of the anger. She's like, you keep that inside of you, it's just poison. Um, and I think it took a long time, like a few years for me to forgive him, but it took me longer to understand him. And now I think he was doing what he thought was best for me. It was had a terrible result, but he really thought he could make me straight and that I would live a normal life. Because he said, if you're gay, you're going to be alone, you're going to die of AIDS, it's going to be a terrible life. So he was trying to make my life better. So he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't coming from a malicious place. So yeah, it turns out now as an adult, I'm just like, oh well.
In the end of the day as well, thanks for sharing, Rex. I think that, the end of the day, I think our parents, they were educated by what they see on TV or what the information was there. Nowadays, with social media, people, they express themselves in a way that they're educating people as well, and people, they are more understanding, and they open their minds and
Yeah.
understand at the time as well, the only information they have. And in the end of the day as well, as you said, it comes from a good place because they want to protect you somehow. You know what I
Yes.
mean? He didn't know how, and it was the way, the emotions that happened. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're kind of in a better place now. Good.
Yes.
Next question is, what's your funniest or your more the greatest memory you have of a date?
Date. Ooh, I've had a lot of bad dates.
Bad dates.
Funny. I mean, just off the top of my head, I would say, I was doing online dating for a while in my 30s, and I started talking to this guy, and he was amazing, and his pictures were great. Um, and yeah, I was just like, we had great conversations, and I was like, we have to meet. And so, I went to the restaurant at the appointed time, and I walked in, and there were only maybe three tables with people at them, and one was a couple, one was a family. And then here's this guy sitting by himself, and I'm like, well, that's weird. So I go to sit at another table, and the guy's like, Rex? And I was like, yeah, who are you? And he was like, and I was like, no, you're not. And like, those aren't your pictures. And he's like, well, no, those are mine. And I was like, no. I was like, the pictures were blonde hair, blue eyes. You have a tattoo on your arm. You have arm hair. You have none of those things. So it was a complete catfish, but it was weird because he was like very much in denial. And I was like, look, what we're going to do is I'm going to order a drink. I'm going to sit down with you, and you get until I finish my drink to explain to me why you would catfish me or anybody. So I tried to get him to explain it to me because I was very curious. And I never got a really good explanation, but I found it very funny, and it's a good story to share with friends.
Wow, my goodness. I think they need to be very brave to do something like that. And it was totally different. He was totally different of the pictures,
Totally
completely.
different. It was weird. I was like, but you don't look anything like the
Oh
person.
my God. Wow, interesting. Three questions left. Let's do it. Before the next one, I made a note here of two books that is displayed in your profile: Free
Okay.
Lunch and Four Eyes. So,
Okay.
a little bit about those books, those
Well,
two.
it's funny because they both take place in sixth grade. Free Lunch is it's more serious. It's prose. It was the first book that I got published, and it's about
Hmm.
my experience with poverty, domestic violence in middle school. Dealing with bullies, dealing with the stuff at home, uh, being evicted from our apartment, having to live in our car overnight, moving into government subsidized housing. And it was very much, that was my middle school experience. And there's so many kids out there who are living in similar circumstances. And so I felt it was a good book because that didn't book exist for me as a kid, and it still doesn't exist because it's an honest story about subjects that a lot of people don't talk about. Um,
Mhm.
Librarians and teachers seem to love it, and a lot of kids seem to love it, so that's great. Four Eyes is also in sixth grade, but the thesis isn't about poverty and domestic violence. There's little tiny hints of the poverty. Like I mentioned, I'm on the free lunch program in Four Eyes, but for the most part, the thesis and the premise of the story is about moving to or changing schools from elementary to middle school, getting glasses, losing friends, meeting new friends, wanting to join the football team but being terrible at dodgeball. There are a lot of universal experiences, and with that, I had much more fun writing because it was kind of like a Disney version of my life. So it's all true, but it's just like without the heavy stuff.
Were you wearing glasses at the time?
I was.
Yeah.
I started wearing glasses in sixth grade. I wore glasses for years. I got LASIK as an adult. 10 years later, it wore off. I had to get glasses again. But I really like wearing glasses now. But I kind of interchange them with contacts because I cannot wear glasses at the gym.
Interesting. Next question is, I think this one's going to be very easy. What did you want to be growing up?
Well, that is easy. I always wanted to be a writer. I mean, the first thing I wanted to be was an astronaut. Second thing I wanted to be was a veterinarian. The third thing I wanted to be was a writer, and that's the one I stuck with.
saying that, what's the biggest joy of writing? When you are, doing your passion. Tell me something that you like the most, and the opposite. What do you find most challenging about the career?
When I'm writing, I just go into that world. I go into that space. I'm with those characters. I'm living that world. I'm going through the ups and downs with them. And then when I finish writing the book, I just feel like this amazing uh, feeling. I can't describe it. It happens every time I finish writing a book, and it's just so powerful and so overwhelming. And it's better than the best food I've ever had. It's better than the funnest movie I've ever watched. Like it's just so great. And then when you get that published book in your hands and you hold it and it's a physical thing, it's amazing. It's just like I have a bookshelf over there with my 12 books on it, and I'm just like, it makes me so happy to look at it. As for the most challenging part, very easy for me. Public speaking. I'm great one on one. I'm great on Zoom. Put me on a stage in front of 400 adults, and I have panic attacks. I'm sweating. My heart is racing. I can't breathe. Um, what I didn't realize is I always thought being a writer, you just sat at home behind a typewriter and made stories. But the truth is, especially in today's world, you have to be on social media, you have to do marketing publicity, you have to put yourself out there. So that's half the job when all I want to be doing is writing.
And in Los Angeles, do you think it's a good place to be a writer? Do you think there are a lot of opportunities for you to know to do it?
All the publishing houses are in New York City, so I actually like that I've kind of moved away from them and have some distance because I worked in publishing for 15 years, trying to teach myself the best way to be a writer. And there are a lot of writers out here, but they're all TV and film. And it's nice because everyone's so in the industry and everyone's like, what do you do? And I was like, I write books. And everyone's like, you do? Like it's so foreign to them. And I get asked a lot, do you want to write film and TV? And I'm like, maybe one day, but I really enjoy writing books.
Wow, amazing. Two questions left. Let's do it. Right, before the next question, being Los Angeles, and you had as well, some time in New York City and, of course, Texas.
Yes.
What do you find, when you think about Texas, what's the memory that comes to your mind that you never found in New York City and for you it's difficult to find as well in LA? There's something about the state that sticks out compared with New York City itself and Los Angeles?
Texas it's funny because growing up, I never thought much about it, but I have so much pride in Texas. The first time I on an international trip, I went to London and I felt very like out of my comfort zone. And I walked into, they turned the Texas embassy into a restaurant because Texas was its own republic for like 8 years in the 1800s before it became part of the US. And so they had the Texas Embassy. It was a restaurant, and they were playing country music. And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm homesick! Like I miss Texas."
Wow.
Like I came back. I bought a Texas flag when I moved to New York and hung it on my wall. I love Texas. The sunsets are beautiful. You can't get sunsets like that anywhere else because it's just a vast open sky. Moving to New York, I hated it the first 5 years. I loved it the next 5 years, and then the last 5 years, I was like, eh. Um, New York is amazing. It's like the center of the world. It's tall. You don't see very much sunlight. You definitely don't see the sky. So that was a really hard adjustment for me. Four seasons are cool, but not getting sunlight is bad for me. So moving to LA, it's kind of like a mashup. Like I get the city, I get some nice sunsets. There's nature, there's buildings, and yeah, it's just a different vibe out here. New York was go go go. LA is very chill, 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 and then Texas to me is just home.
Wow. And you plan to stay in Los Angeles for a long while?
Yeah, that's my goal now. I've been here for 6 years. It feels like two. So I'm loving it, and I don't see a reason to leave. So I'm going to stick around.
Amazing. Next question is, what is the happiest day in your life so far, and why you consider that?
That's a really hard question. The first 18 years of my life were really hard. The next 18 were really hard because I was dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety. Then my abuela passed away, and I went into the darkest place I've ever been in. And about 8 months ago, a year ago, I started coming out of it. And one day I realized the last 30 days, I haven't been depressed, I haven't been anxious, I haven't thought about my past. And I think part of that is I've written all these books about my life and I survived it. I didn't realize it was so painful to write those books. But when I finished, it was like, I survived. All that stuff is in the past and I'm here now and I'm happy to be here. And that realization just was amazing.
Do you feel like you are living your best life right now?
Absolutely. Um, yeah. I buy plants. I have a dog. I write books every day. Uh, it's great. I've got no complaints.
Amazing. Last question. Ready?
Okay.
Let's do it. Last question. Right. Before the last question, as you said, you had your 12 books on the side. Go there and pick one of them. And I'll tell you afterwards what I'm going to ask you. Any.
Okay. Okay. Oh, this is a hard one. Ah.
Just
Okay. Do you want to see it or are you going to get?
So show me the book. Four Eyes. Okay. So my question for you is: people who read this book, Four Eyes, what would you like them to take with them? What the message that they would like them to take?
Well, it's a graphic novel, so it's filled with pictures, which kids love. I mean, it's basically a comic book, but it's just much thicker. So I want people to realize that a book doesn't have to be all prose and all words to tell a story. A graphic novel is somewhere between a book and a TV show, and what I want them to take away from it, in an emotional way, is just, kids are resilient and they can survive stuff, and you can go through hard times and come out hopeful and optimistic. But even for adults, what I don't think a lot of people realize, and something that I've been doing for 20 years now, is that you have to take care of that inner child, because the inner child went through a lot of pain. And so now you just have to take care of them. I buy myself an ice cream sundae sometimes, or for Christmas, I buy myself a Lego set. For my birthday, I throw children themed parties at pizza places and arcades and swimming pools, and picnics with piñatas. Like, I am taking back my childhood and I'm having fun and I'm taking care of that inner child and I hug them every day and it makes me happy. So everyone needs to take care of themselves. And I know that's long-winded, but that's what I hope people take away from the book.
And the other part of the question is, when you're looking your books, why did you take this one?
Honestly, it's because it's so vibrant and happy, and I've written some painful books, which I think are super important, and I think will bring attention to much needed topics like homelessness and poverty and domestic violence. But I think it's so good in life to focus on the positive and to remember that every day is bad or good, and you can kind of choose to say today was a bad day, but why not focus on the one good thing that happened and say, you know what? Today was a good day.
Amazing. Good. Last question is, what do you think are the best traits for a person to have?
Ooh, good question. Let's go with three because I like the number three. Honesty is the first one. I think honesty is so important, because it's the base of communication. And even if you have difficult conversations, when they're honest, they are productive. The second one, is to love yourself and love other people. Compassion is the most important thing in the sense of not just taking care of yourself, but taking care of other people. You need to have compassion towards yourself and towards those around you. And then the third one, which I think is the easiest, is just do your best. That's all anyone can ask. Like, my parents had a lot of failings, but at the end of the day, they were doing their best. And now I'm doing my best. And, I'm not great at everything I do. And sometimes I say the wrong thing or, annoy my husband. But at the end of the day, I'm doing the best I can. And that's all I can do.
Wow. You mentioned about number three. Is number three your lucky number?
Yeah. I love all things in threes. When I'm writing, I always try to do things in threes.
It's my lucky number, always been. Wow. What's
Three
your
is
star?
good.
What's your star sign in astrology?
I'm a Leo.
Interesting.
Yeah. Aggressive and loyal as a lion. It
You like
fits
to be
me
in
well.
charge. You like to be in charge.
100%.
Right. It's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. Let's
Okay.
start with money,
Work.
fear,
Overcome.
family,
Found.
love,
Trust.
life.
Life is
Yeah.
great.
Okay. Sex,
Freedom.
religion,
Philosophy.
friendship.
Important.
One word for politics.
What's that?
Politics.
Politics. Dumb.
Desire.
Important.
Regret.
Worthless.
Success.
Difficult.
Wish.
Don't.
Happiness.
Work.
One word for Los Angeles.
Blue skies. Blue.
New York City. One word.
Skyscrapers.
Texas.
Home.
USA.
Country.
One word for author.
Books.
And the last one now. One word for the Four Eyes. Your book.
Glasses.
Amazing. Let's pretend now, as you mentioned about your husband, I'm going to meet him for a coffee, and I'm going to ask him, tell me the most beautiful thing about Rex, and tell me something that he still needs to work on, to improve on, what he would say.
I work hard at everything, which is both good and bad because I work at being a better person. I work at trying to be happy every day. I work at being a good friend. I try to work at being a good husband. I try to be good. I work hard at writing now marketing publicity, which is hard. Yeah, I feel like I work hard at everything and it's not easy every day, but once I've gotten into the rhythm of it, it gives my day structure and I appreciate that.
Amazing. Let's play now Rex and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. Right, you can ask me a question now.
Okay. What is your favorite book?
For some reason, I knew this question was coming. You know what? The first book that comes to my mind is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. The Alchemist. I don't know if you read it. Do you know Paulo Coelho, the Brazilian writer?
It's sitting on my coffee table and it's been sitting there for 4 years. I plan to read it one day.
Oh my God, it's one of the books that, I read twice, I think. When I read the first time, I was quite young. And after a few years, I read it again and I saw the book in a different way. And I saw, the whole, it's funny how you read something, the different time of your life and you get the different message. And I think it's a book that made me connect more with myself and understand, more things about me and also how to connect the universe itself and how we present ourselves here. So I think it's a very spiritual book. I just love it. And actually, I might have somewhere here. I might read it again because I want to see in this time of my life how I'm going to see the book. Fun enough, yeah. I was in Brazil in March for my mom's 60th birthday, and on the airport I brought like 7 different books and I haven't started reading them. The Magic Box being so busy, I haven't started. So I would say The Alchemist right now. I think it's a book that's left a big impact in my life for sure.
Okay, respect. I will have to finally read it.
Amazing. Did you enjoy the interview, Rex?
I did. This was fun.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for taking your time for the interview, and also good luck with your career, your books. I think it's great for you to share your life. There's a lot of topics there that relate to yourself, to your bring up childhood memories. And again, it's about helping people. And people when they read other people's memoir, I think there's always something to take it. And I think it's very brave as well to write down, as you said. It's not easy, but at the end of the day, you are helping people, and also, people understand they are not alone out there. There are so many things happening, and when it happened, you think that we are alone out there, but no, there are so many people face the same story. So,
Nope.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's so important.
Before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
I would say there's an old quote, and I can't remember who said it, but it says, dance like no one's watching. I would say life is a story, write yours well.
Wow, amazing. Great. Thanks so much, and keep in touch. It was a pleasure having you on the show, okay?
Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.